its starting position. To rewind the piston, select Rewind. The rewinding screen will appear while the piston rewinds. Once the piston is rewound, Rewind Complete will appear on the screen. Your pump will then instruct you to fill the reservoir and connect the tubing to the reservoir. You can now set the pump down and prepare to fill the reservoir.
So
Before
we
you
go
can
to a
begin filling the
specific
reservoir,
menu in the
you will need to
pump.
clean the top of the
This
insulin
menu
vial.
is called reservoir.
To reduce the risk of air bubbles,
Reservoir
make sure
and
the
set.
insulin.
Okay, so it's called reservoir and set, and from there we select the new reservoir menu and we follow the steps. So even if I don't know, if I don't exactly remember the steps, all I have to do is to read the step 1 in the pump, step 2 in the pump, step 3, move with the pump step by step, which will lead me to the last part, which is called the insert the infusion set in the patient's body, okay? Here in this video, they are using the insulin vial, but because we don't have vials, we usually use directly the insulin pen from the patient.
When you're ready, wipe the top of the insulin vial with alcohol and wait until it dries. Remove the new reservoir from the package. Let's stop for a minute and look at the different
Look
parts
at
of
the
the reservoir.
reservoir.
The transfer guard attaches the reservoir to the insulin vial so it can be filled with insulin. The reservoir barrel holds your 2 to 3 day supply of insulin. The O-rings prevent insulin from leaking out of the reservoir. The plunger rod is used to fill the reservoir with insulin. Now, pull the plunger so the top of the O-ring is positioned at the amount of insulin you plan to put in the reservoir. Be careful not to pull the plunger completely out of the reservoir.
You can see it's 3
Hold the
ml.
reservoir by the
So
blue
it
transfer
holds
guard and
300
connect it to the
units of
insulin vial
insulin.
by pressing down. Be careful not to push down on the plunger during this step.
I also want to show you something.
It's very important to push air into the vial before taking insulin out. To the insulin vial by pressing down. Insulin.
Okay, so you can see those, sorry.
Be filled with insulin. The reservoir.
Okay, can you see those lines? Each line of these is 20 units. So if I fill until here, the first line, this is 20 units. This is 40, 60, 80. Sorry, no, this is 20, 40, 60, 80, and then 100 units, okay? So usually we don't fill the reservoir 3 ml. So it depends on the patient need for 3 days. Because after 3 days, I'm going to throw the reservoir away. So I don't want to have so much insulin thrown. So I calculate how much is needed for 3 days. I add to that some insulin just to be
معلش بعد إذنك كل خط من ده بيساوي كام؟
20
20
20 واحد يعني 100 2 يعني 200 3 يعني 300 so مثلا إذا المريض بيحتاج باليوم sorry so if the patient needs each day مثلا 40 units okay or 40 50 units it means in 3 days he will need 120 units so I don't fill 120 for example I fill 140 or 160 just to be on the safe side. So I go to 100, 120, 130, 40, 160. So this ring that you will see now should be on 160, okay?
Insulin. The O-rings prevent insulin from leaking out of the reservoir. The plunger rod is used to fill the reservoir with insulin. Now, pull the plunger so the top of the O-ring is positioned at the amount of insulin you plan to put in the reservoir. Be careful not to pull the plunger completely out of the reservoir. Hold the reservoir by the blue transfer guard and connect it to the insulin vial by pressing down. Be careful not to push down on the plunger during this step. It's very important to push air into the vial before taking insulin out. To do this, keep the insulin vial upright. Place your thumb on the plunger and firmly push the air from the reservoir into the insulin vial. Continue to hold down the plunger with your thumb. Flip the insulin vial over so it is on top. Make sure you are holding the vial with your other hand. Slowly release your thumb pressure from the plunger rod, and the reservoir will start filling with insulin. When the reservoir stops filling, slowly pull down on the plunger until the top
Of course, we don't do the
lines
step
up
of
with the desired
doing the
amount.
pressure
Keep
in
in
the pen,
mind,
only
every
in the
small line
vial.
on the
Okay, so
reservoir
you just
represents about
directly
20
pull the
units of
insulin
insulin.
out of the pen.
Tap the reservoir hard enough to make the air bubbles rise so the
reading.
reservoir is on top. With the vial down on the table, hold the transfer guard with one hand. With your other hand, turn the reservoir counterclockwise and then pull straight up to remove it from the transfer guard. Be careful not to press on the O-rings. Disconnect the transfer guard from the vial and dispose of it properly. Remove the infusion set from the package. Let's review the parts of the infusion set. The needle guard protects the needle during shipping and handling. The introducer needle is used to insert the soft, thin cannula into your body. The blue handle helps you remove and safely dispose of the introducer needle after the cannula is inserted. The cannula is the short, thin, flexible tube that delivers insulin into your body. The site connector allows you to disconnect at the infusion site. A paper backing covers the adhesive. The adhesive sticks the infusion set to your body, and the tubing connector connects the infusion set to the reservoir. Make sure both the top of the reservoir and the inside of the tubing connector are dry before connecting them. Liquid can temporarily block the vents on the tubing connector. This may result in the delivery of too little or too much insulin, which can cause hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. If any liquid has gotten on the top of the reservoir or it's not have the set inserted into your body, the reservoir is now filled and connected to the tubing. Pick up the pump to review the next step on the screen. While you are filling your reservoir, the backlight may have turned off. Press the select button to turn the screen on again.
So this is the select button. This is up and down, left and right. This is the back button. And this button has a different function, depends on the type of the pump. You remember we said some of them has the menu shape, some has the grab, some has the sensor grab. So usually if we want to go to the menu, we press on the select button, which is the circle in the middle, okay?
Your pump may have gone into sleep mode, locking the pump. If your pump is locked, press select on the home screen. You will see the unlock screen. Press the arrow that is
Okay, so
highlighted
this
to unlock
unlock
the pump
screen,
and continue to the
you saw now the unlock screen. It's only in the 640 and in the 670. We don't have it in the 780. This is just to prevent the accidental button pushing. So all you have to do is to press the same highlighted arrow. So if the upper arrow is highlighted with orange, you have to press on the upper arrow. If the right arrow is highlighted with orange, you have to press on the right arrow. So all you have to do is to press the highlighted arrow.
load reservoir from the menu. The new reservoir screen appears. Since you have already filled the reservoir,
So finish number one, finish number two.
Next.
Now we go
Next
to
step on
number
the screen
three.
instructs you to place reservoir into pump and lock. You will now place the reservoir into the pump. Remember, you should have already rewound the piston in your pump, and you should not have the set connected to your body when performing this step. Put the reservoir in the pump and turn the tubing connector clockwise until you feel the reservoir lock into place. The tubing connector should line up with the groove in the battery cap of your pump. On your pump, select Next to go to the load reservoir screen. With load highlighted,
So you remember we said that we don't fill the reservoir with the full amount, 300 units. So that's why we need this load reservoir process. For example, and I have the reservoir here. I only filled it 200 units. Okay, so I filled it only 200 units. So there is a space, okay? So now in the pump, there is the plunger that pushes the insulin to the patient's body. So what I need to do is that I need to load this plunger by holding the select button until it reaches to the level of insulin. Okay, we call this the loading process. So load, select, load, and hold until complete. So it moves up.
see complete, do not connect to body, and a yellow check mark on the screen. Select Next. You will now fill the empty tubing with insulin.
Now we want to fill the tubing with the
Hold the sense
insulin
of the needle is
to
pointing
remove
down.
all of the air.
With fill highlighted on the screen,
Okay,
press and
so
hold
we
select.
keep on filling the
The pump screen will
tubing
display the amount of insulin being
until
pumped
we
through the
see
tubing.
insulin
Continue
coming
to
out
select
of the
until
needle.
you see insulin
Once you
drops
see
coming
insulin coming out of the
needle.
needle, it means that
The number
this
of
all
units shown
has
on the
been
screen
filled
will
with the
vary each
insulin,
time you fill the
which
tubing.
means that you
If you
finished
release
this step.
select too early, just press and hold the select button again until you see drops come out the end of the needle.
See?
After you see the drops,
You
release the
stop.
select button. Hold the tubing to the light to check for air in the tubing. If you do see air, once again, press and hold select until the air exits the end of the tubing. Now press right and select next. You'll see the fill cannula screen. You have successfully filled the reservoir in infusion set tubing. If you notice anything unusual after filling the infusion set tubing, such as insulin continuing to drip or squirt from the
So now
tubing,
here with this step, we need to insert it in the body. So we were gonna use the quick inserter that we said it comes with the pump and
Let's
has to
review
be
the parts
used.
of the
Okay?
Mini-Med Quick Server. The inner barrel is where you will place the infusion set, and the tubing slot houses the tubing when you place the infusion set in the inner barrel. The handle is pulled back and locks the infusion set in place for proper insertion. The two green side buttons are used to trigger the insertion device and insert the infusion set. They are only visible when the server is loaded. The release button releases the infusion set from the inner barrel once it is inserted. To load the infusion set, place the Mini-Med Quick Server on a sturdy, flat surface with the handle facing down. Pick up the infusion set by the blue handle and place it into the server. Make sure the blue handle and tubing are lined up with the tubing slot. Use your index and middle fingers of your other hand to firmly seat the infusion set into the inner barrel. This will ensure the infusion set does not accidentally fall out before you are ready to insert it. Place a finger on the edge of the needle guard to ensure the infusion set does not become dislodged. Remove the paper backing by gently lifting up one tab at a time. With the server in one hand, pull down the handle until it clicks. Hold the server with your fingers away from the two green side buttons. Twist to loosen the needle guard, then pull it straight up to remove it. Next, you will select your infusion site. Some commonly recommended areas for infusion sites are your abdomen, except for the 2 inches around your belly button, your hips and buttocks, your upper thighs, or the back of your arms. Your healthcare professional can help you select an organized method for rotating sites. It will chug your skin. With the server secure against your body, press the 2 side buttons at the same time to insert the set. Put a finger on the blue handle to hold the infusion set in place. Push down on the release button and pull the server away from your body. Place your fingers on the infusion set and pull the introducer needle straight out. Smooth down the adhesive. To safely dispose of the needle, fold the blue handle over the needle until it locks into place and place it in a sharps container. Be careful not to touch the needle while performing this step. Now that
See,
the
now
introducer needle is removed, the cannula is
the
empty.
infusion set is inserted in the patient's body, and this is the cannula. It's already under the skin, delivering the insulin to the patient's body. So after this step, the final step that we need to do, it's called the fill cannula. What do I mean by fill cannula? This small amount of cannula, it's empty. So I need to fill it with insulin. So the insulin will start being delivered directly to the subcutaneous tissue. So we have 2 links for this cannula. If you look here in the back of the infusion set, there's a 6 millimeter cannula and there's a 9 millimeter cannula. We usually provide the 6 millimeter cannula for pediatric or very skinny patient, and we provide the 9 millimeter cannula for obese or for children or for adults usually. Okay, so remember this, if the cannula size is 6 millimeter, sorry, you have to fill it with 0.3 unit of insulin. 0.3, not 3 unit, it's 0.3 unit of insulin. If the cannula is 9 millimeter, it has to be filled with 0.5. Okay, so if you go here next, you can see
To
here.
fill the cannula, select Fill.
It's 6
The fill cannula screen will
0.3.
appear with
3.
letter dashes or the amount you previously used. The amount needed to fill the cannula depends on the length of cannula you are using. The 6 millimeter cannula requires 0.3 units of insulin,
See,
and the 9
nine.
millimeter cannula requires 0.5 units of insulin.
Exactly.
To change the fill amount, press select and use the arrows to scroll to the amount needed and press select again. If the amount is correct, press down to fill now. Press select. The pump will begin to fill the cannula and display the amount. Congratulations! You have successfully filled your reservoir and changed your site. From time to time, you will need to temporarily disconnect.
Okay, this is the last part I will show you when you do it, which is sometimes if the patient wants to disconnect the pump to shower or to do anything specific, they should not remove all of the infusion set. They can simply disconnect the tubing only. So once they disconnect the tubing, the pump will be not delivering the insulin to their body, and they are allowed to be disconnected from it only 1 hour, maximum 1 hour. Okay, it's very simple. They just press on the sides. Okay.
Inspect your pump prior to disconnecting. To disconnect from your pump, firmly hold the adhesive to your skin, then squeeze the two indentations on either
Squeeze
side
the
of the set connector,
sides and you
and turn it
rotate it.
counterclockwise until the blue arrows are
It
aligned.
will be removed.
Pull the set connector away from the body to disconnect it. To protect the infusion site while disconnected,
Exactly.
position
To
the cover
protect
over
it,
the
there's
infusion
this
site
cap.
until
It
it fits
comes
into
with an
place.
infusion
Turn
set,
it
and then you
clockwise to
cover
lock it
it.
into position.
Okay. Very, very simple.